Today is February 16th, 2025, and this is our weekly update on the ongoing war between Israel and its multiple enemies on multiple fronts around the Middle East. Shalom, my friends. This is the Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. Yesterday was yet again another powerful and emotional day here in Israel as three more male hostages were released from almost 500 days of captivity held by the Hamas terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip, taken from their homes on October 7th, 2023, as a result of the onslaught, the attack by thousands of Hamas terrorists into Israel on that very, very dark and sad day. Almost 500 days these three men have been there, and we know that there are many more, dozens more hostages still being kept in captivity in the brutal hands of both Hamas and another terrorist organization, Islamic Jihad. Praying for all of their releases as the hostages continue to come home week after week in drips. We're hearing more and more of the dark stories of terror that they experienced, the torture and the horrendous and horrible conditions that they lived in, the way that they were treated, beaten, oppressed, and starved. With each new hostage release, we hear more about their specific stories and the stories of other hostages who are still being held in captivity. Hostages who were held by themselves the entire time in captivity. Hostages that were kept underground in dark tunnels the entire time. Hostages that were tortured. Hostages that were kept in cages, barely given anything to eat. We know last weekend the three hostages that were released came out looking like Holocaust survivors. Fortunately, we can say this week, yesterday, the hostages looked in better shape, but still we know what they went through was absolute hell. And health professionals here in Israel are saying, while they're in better shape than maybe we expected, that they can walk on their own, we know, they know, we all know as a result, the road ahead is going to be a very, very long, intense, and serious one of both physical rehabilitation as well as emotional healing as well, integrating back into the normalcy of their everyday lives. At the same time, there's a mix of joy and sadness that these hostages are facing when they come out. One of the hostages yesterday found out that he had a baby girl. His wife gave birth to a baby girl while he was in captivity. Also, the news was shared that his father died while he was in captivity. So some of these hostages only find out that when they are released, that family members were killed on October 7th, the day that they were taken as hostages. They didn't know this entire time until the day of their release. So many different things happening all together. And of course, the painful release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and terrorists, including those with blood on their hands, as a result, in exchange for getting our hostages back. So again, like we said in previous weeks, a joyous time to see more and more hostages come home finally, but at the same time, very, very difficult, very, very painful. There is one more weekend ahead of us of this hostage deal, and there's 14 hostages left. Hamas said that 8 of them were no longer living. One of them we already know, a man named Shlomo, the oldest hostage of them all. That leaves 7 of the hostages remaining to be released in this first phase of this ceasefire deal. 7 of those remaining that we don't know who they are no longer alive, have been killed by Hamas either on the day of the onslaught, October 7th, or during their days in captivity. We do know that Shir Bibas and her 2 children are still in there, and we do not know their fate. We do not know if they're among the living or the dead. We might not know until next week. Of course, if we hear any updates throughout the week, we will update you in another video. On other fronts, the ceasefire with Lebanon is set to come to an end just in 2 days from now, and still details are being worked out with that. Will there be an extension? Will there not be an extension? What will be the case? Israel continues to fire at Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon as they continue to break the ceasefire conditions. So keeping our eye on that, will Israel fully pull out of southern Lebanon within 2 days or not? Will the ceasefire continue? Will fighting? Will we go back to fighting the Hezbollah terrorist organization directly like we were before the ceasefire? Lots of questions on the table. And again, we will update you once we know about these details. Those are the major events happening here in Israel today and this week as we begin a new week, continuing to pray for the safety of our soldiers on the front lines as they ready for possible renewed fighting both in Gaza and in Lebanon. Israel has brought up reservist troops in this past week, getting ready for any situation, any condition, because last week Hamas said that they were not going to release hostages in exchange for terrorists from our prisons. And that put Israel on major alert. And that is the reason why they called up many more reservists over the past few days. In the end, they did release hostages and the ceasefire deal continued as planned. But we're dealing with evil, we're dealing with monsters, and we never know what will be. And so Israel is ready for any situation under all conditions. So with that in mind, wishing everyone a good week. Again, thank you for your continued prayers, thoughts, and support for Israel. Sending you all the best from Israel. All the best and be well.